A beautiful place, packed with beautiful people. It must be Florida, the Sunshine State. The buzz never stops, from the Everglades to the alligators, from shooting hoops to shooting hopes. Here, they know how to relax, they know how to party, and they know how to make history. Come to another world. Come on an unforgettable, ultimate journey. Another day at the beach means another day in the office for Rich Gardner. He never knows what the next emergency might be. Being a hero comes naturally to someone as gifted as Shaquille O'Neal. But being a sports superstar is not all about fans and fame. There's a lot of hard work, too. The same goes for the beach models. A peek behind the scenes reveals more than glitz and glamour. And at the Kennedy Space Center, real astronauts share what it feels like to walk in space and what it takes to get there. And then there's this local hero, Manny Puig. Some say he's brave, some say he's crazy. Either way, wrestling alligators falls into the don't try this at home category. Florida deserves its nickname, the Sunshine State. The sun shines and the water sparkles for almost 350 days of the year. No wonder sun worshippers from around the world flock here to soak up the rays and play in the warm shallows. Flanking the endless miles of white beaches are row upon row of the Art Deco buildings of South Beach that give Miami its unique style. With its exotic Cuban infusion and reputation as the shopping and entertainment mecca of Miami, South Beach, or SoBe, oozes a distinctive blend of hot fashion and cool street. It's hard to believe that once this area was a humble coconut farm. Until the early 80s, this was a crime-ridden neighborhood. Ironically, the cult TV show Miami Vice then spawned a renaissance, and the area now has some of the most sought-after properties in Florida.
Welcome to Miami.
The most common pastime is people watching. If you're lucky, you may even see a celebrity strolling down Ocean Drive. One of them is Cuban-born Manuel Puig, or Manny. Since he appeared wrestling alligators in the movie Wild Boys, he attracts instant attention.
They're not anywhere right here. Tomorrow. A lot of women don't.
Manny doesn't mind being stopped.
He's a good guy, man. Yeah, the best.
Manny loves it when young people tell him how much he's taught them about predators.
It's great, you know, learning and doing crazy things.
The locals and tourists obviously adore him.
That record show is great, man.
But Manny's the man. This guy's got the kahunas. This guy's the man. I admire him very much. Anybody that can jump into a lake with his bare hands and pull out an alligator, you do some amazing things, man.
The more you know about alligators and the more you know about the alligators world, the easier it is for you to live in that world.
Okay.
And you know, safely interact. The more knowledge you have here about alligators, the safer it is for you to go in the alligators world.
To some, Manny is almost a sex symbol.
I love beach, how are you?
To others, a role model.
He does crazy stuff on television with the Wild Boys.
Manny's other friends are these. Alligators. They live in the Florida Everglades, a subtropical marshland. Most people stay safely in their boats, well out of harm's way, but not Manny. He wants to get to know alligators much more intimately, in their own world, on their own terms. And it's not just alligators. Manny will try to get up close and personal with any predator. Hammerhead sharks, for instance, just as long as it's something really dangerous. He loves sharks so much that when he's not swimming with them, he's making shark sculptures. If it's possible for a human being to understand a shark, Manny's your man.
It's a great hammerhead. This is like one of the main predatory sharks. I would say I went to college on this shark, meaning what I learned from this shark, I pass on to other sharks. This is the first shark I caught rides on. I learned how to interact with it underwater, and then everything I learned from the great hammerhead, I would pass from species to species of shark. The reason I dive without protection, I like to do everything primitive and natural. And if I don't put myself at risk with the shark, I don't feel like I'm really breaking the barrier. And as close as possible, hands-on, hand feed the shark, get to feel his power, touch his skin, feel his power, his strength, and look at him eye to eye up close and really, really enjoy the presence of this animal. I don't recommend anybody to do it unless you're a real expert and you know what you're doing, and then you know what the consequences are. The alligator is in the swamp, but the shark is in the ocean, but it's a totally different thing.
The Everglades are just a short drive from Manny's house, so he can drop in whenever he feels like it.
Now we're gonna go look for alligators.
The Everglades cover an area of 6,000 square kilometers. The Native Americans call this Pehayoki, which means river of grass. Johnny Tigertail, a Miccosukee Indian, accompanies Manny into the Everglades. He grew up in the area and knows the swamps like the back of his hand. Johnny navigates, but it's Manny who tracks down the alligators with his nose.
I smelled in the air, I smelled an alligator. They have a musky smell to them. The alligator is in here.
Even though Johnny knows the drill, he still can't believe the risks that Manny takes. His only equipment is goggles, snorkels, and fins. The water is warm, muddy, and very murky. Manny can't see more than a meter ahead, and he has no idea what may be lurking there. It's incredibly dangerous, especially since alligators tend to cluster in groups around the same territory. This alligator resents the intrusion. Manny's dive suddenly turns nasty as the alligator attacks. Manny has only one chance. The alligator drags him several meters along the bottom until Manny manages to regain control by clamping its jaws shut. He knows that it's time to get out, quick.
Hey John, I had an incredibly close call with an alligator in here.
Came up on him?
Yeah, I don't know how I didn't get my arm off.
Oh man, that's amazing. You got out of there. Got a long dent in there, huh?
Yeah, he went in there. Real close call. He was hiding in the mud, and all of a sudden he would kick up and out of the mud like that. It was like he kicks up the mud and you can't see anything. And he comes in like this. He could be down and all of a sudden swing like that with his jaw, yeah.
I didn't see anything down there either.
I think I had enough of this guy.
Okay.
I want to go find another one. The super mean alligator, man.
All right, I seen another area. Maybe we'll find something over there.
They head for a small village in the Glades where Johnny's grandfather grew up. 15 years ago, an alligator took up residence near the village. He's lived there ever since. Johnny calls the alligator closer, and it comes to him like a puppy dog.
Yeah, this is Propagator right here. I've known him for about 15 years. He's been living around here.
He's a healthy big one, man. I'm going to explain a few things about the angles of an alligator, where he sees, where he doesn't see, where you shouldn't stand, where you should stand, and all that if you're in front of an alligator.
And with that, Manny demonstrates the basics of alligator behavior. The alligator instinctively investigates the splashes. Anyone else would now be in mortal danger, but Manny knows exactly what he's doing, and therefore how to stay safe.
If you're low, he doesn't see you down here. This is his blind spot. But if an alligator knows where you're at, he can cock his feet and jump and catch you. I like to be low enough where I can get my head out of the way and tilt the head back if he were to lunge at me. Okay, he just saw my knee.
Alligators react almost entirely on instinct. Manny knows how to make that work to his advantage.
Over here, he sees me perfect. And right here, if I put myself here, this is the most vulnerable spot. Because the terrain right there is where he wants me. Because he can come around and with the tail this way. So this would be where, right in here, where I got my foot, where he's looking at right now, that's the spot right there, where he would want him.
Manny believes that the more people know about such predators, the safer they will be, and the safer the animals will be too. The American alligator was once endangered, mostly because of poaching for its skin and meat. Its numbers now have recovered, thanks to conservation efforts. Few baby alligators survived the first few weeks of life, falling prey to raptors, big fish and other alligators. To give them a head start, Johnny's family breeds a few in a small enclosure, and Manny makes acquaintances with one captive-born youngster.
When he hisses is when he's mad. Normally if I'm going to approach an alligator in the wild, I'm going to go from below and I grab him by the skin here and I push up and I hide underneath him like that. That's how I would normally do it, like this. And that way, you know, I don't see it. He's looking at my face right now, but if I lift him like this, they tend to relax. He won't even look at me. And then I can slowly move him around. If he backs up, I back up with him. He goes forward, I go forward with him. It's not a thing of strength. I don't use no strength when I levitate an alligator. They have a underwater eyelid. See see right here, if you look real careful, see that little lid? Right there, it goes, see that thing goes over the eye? It has a clear lid for looking underwater. It's like goggles, just like a diver. So I'm gonna put him back in.
This alligator is only a few years old. It won't reach sexual maturity until it gets to about 8 or 9. Manny next gets to meet one that's still a baby.
This year, Johnny told me he's about a 13-month-old baby alligator. It's amazing, he's so small. 10 to 12 years from now, I might be hand catching it in the wild somewhere.
If it survives, this tiny baby will grow to about 4.5 meters long. The largest alligator ever recorded in Florida was a whopping 5.3 meters. While Manny searches the alligator-infested waters for somewhere to swim, others prefer to bathe in safer waters.
We love Daytona!
Daytona Beach, a party in paradise. The beach is about 150 meters wide and 36 kilometers long. Plenty of room for everyone, you would think. Not so. Daytona is well known for letting holidaymakers drive onto the beach and park. Vehicles compete with quad bikes, reclining bikes and everyone else for a bit of sand. At least it means no more lugging cool boxes and chairs around. The holiday season seems to last 7 days a week, 12 months a year, and the mood never varies. It's endless fun. Some people, though, turn up at Daytona Beach every day, not to relax, but to work. The lifeguards.
The drill today, you're going to go out and jump off the end of the pier. You're going to swim to the clock tower. It's about a little over a quarter-mile swim, almost a half-mile, and then run back down the beach.
These guys don't come here to soak up the rays or relax on the sand. This is work. The day begins with training and a bit of fun to get the spirits up. After the swim, there's no chance to rest. It's straight into the run.
Well, this is our morning drill. where all of our guards will do a training session. We have a different type of training every day.
Keeping fit is a job requirement. The lifeguards need to stay in top physical condition in order to keep everyone safe. And safety is about more than rescues. The guards keep a lookout for other sources of trouble too.
Daytona Beach itself is a very crowded area. We get a lot of undesirables, people who are runaways or running from crimes in other areas. They tend to congregate here because Daytona has a lot of publicity throughout the country, and it seems like an area that they would like to come and hang out.
Vehicles equipped with both life-saving apparatus and high-tech crime-busting technology patrol the beaches. One guard in particular is responsible for the crime side of things, Captain Richard Gardner.
Captain Gardner handles the investigations on all of the county-controlled beaches. There's 47 miles of beach, and any law enforcement calls that require follow-up investigation, Captain Gardner does that.
Rich Gardner knows Daytona Beach better than most people. This stretch of beach is his office. Once, though, it was his playground.
I started back in 1984. I was 16 years old, and a friend of mine and I just used to come down and surf all the time. We were always very water-oriented, and we got to talking to some of the lifeguards, and they told us that you could be a lifeguard at 16 years old. So
Not long after, Captain Gardner began training as a lifeguard. Much of his work involves basic crowd management.
Right now I'm just trying to clear the parking area. One of the main concerns that we have, or complaints that we have, are people that block the parking spots by laying in the only place where we allow cars to park. So people don't understand sometimes we do get some arguments out of it, but it really depends on your approach. We can step it up to a ticket if we need to, but we don't like to do that. Parking area only. How far? Back to the other side of these green poles, or you can move down the other side of the traffic lane. The tide's going out all day. Okay?
Reactions vary.
No, it's not well marked, and they had all the sand dunes and stuff, so we thought we were safe, so we just set up. So now we got to move again. So he never said how far away. Now I'm afraid that we're going to be over there, the tide's going to come in, and they're going to make us move back over again. So it's just not well marked.
We didn't know we had to move, but that's all right. It doesn't matter. We're just here to have fun, so there's a lot of beach.
Some professionals need more isolated stretches for their work. Miami is a fashion shoot metropolis, hardly surprising with its tropical climate, great light and stunning locations. A huge fashion industry has sprung up in Miami. Modeling agencies, stylists, location managers and production crews offer sleek professional services to a booming industry. Alexander Vinovich, a fashion photographer from Europe, has worked here for almost 15 years and considers Miami to be his second home. He knows how much image matters. Reputations ride on appearances, and that's not just for the models. Money is no object. Alexander has hired this luxury suite in order to set the tone for casting models he needs for his next big job, a swimsuit shoot on the beach. The views are great. Not that there's much time to relax, as the first candidates have just been announced. First in is Lindsay. This business is tough. Not only is it highly competitive, but also cutthroat. If the casting director doesn't like your look, they'll let you know in no uncertain terms. After checking their portfolios, Alexander scrutinizes each hopeful from every angle. The models can't afford to be shy. Lindsay doesn't mind. She knows the competition is tough.
You have girls from all over the world flown in, and the agencies here are just really competitive. I mean, there's a few very big agencies here, so you go to casting and it's like 80 girls, you know, and they all walk in perfect swimsuit bodies and everything, so it's very cutthroat.
To the untrained eye, each model appears to have a beautiful body and a perfect smile. But Alexander knows exactly what kind of a look he wants and how a model's features will work on both the shoot and when published in a magazine. And there's much more to this profession than perfect bodies, smiles and faces. Alexander wants his models to have many of the same qualities that any other employer would want. Professional, hard-working, good team members, reliable, punctual. A few days later, they're on location. Alexander's first model is Alina. It's a very early start for everyone. It can take more than 2 hours for the stylists to do Alina's hair and makeup. Meanwhile, another crew prepares the clothes for the day's shoot. Chad is a veteran of fashion shoots and knows the Miami fashion scene well.
Miami is all about swimwear, about nudity and about skin. It's so hot here. You know, like right now I want to take my clothes off. And I can't, I'm working. But every day, you know, we have, Miami's very, you know, it's becoming very, I want to say European a little bit. You know, a lot of European people come here like yourselves. And Miami's becoming very, you know, open, and, you know, some of the hotels you go to, it's very risque, you know, crazy. But, you know, this is Miami. It's hot, it's sexy, so, and we love it.
Preparations run like a military operation. Alina moves on to Chad, who makes sure her clothes fit perfectly, while the next model takes a seat and settles in for her 2 hours of grooming. Chad pinches some bronzing liquid to help create the perfect tan.
This is magic. Self-center.
Because the male model needs a bit of a skin tone boost, and Chad knows how much will work for the photographs. Lawrence's grooming is more subtle, making sure all his hair is in place and that his face doesn't shine.
By the end of the day, I'm gonna make you blush. Miami has a good energy during its season, and then it kind of, after season's over, which is like from January to mid-March, everybody just kind of leaves and they head off wherever, and the energy's kind of just gone.
3 hours later, and the first couple are finally ready, and the shoot can start in earnest. On average, only 10 out of every 100 photos taken will be used. After the initial rush, everyone on set relaxes and the shoot proceeds according to plan. The models need stamina. Every so often they have to freeze in awkward positions while minor adjustments are made and still try to look fun and sexy. But for the professional model, this is just another day at work.
I don't think there is a dream job. I think that any job is work. Modeling is a really fun job. It's very glamorous. You get to be out on the beach all day, but at the same time you have to work, you have to stay fit, you have to be professional, deal with photographers, deal with people. It's a business just like anything else, but it's a nice business, it's a fun business.
You know, you come here and, you know, it's all the way you look, you know, and you can't come looking tired, you know, being tired, you know, you got to be outgoing, you know, your face has to be outgoing. You can't have bags under your eyes, you know, you're sitting around, you know, have to be energetic.
While the models earn their living, others leave work behind and escape for a well-earned break. Daniela and Pietro drive along the Overseas Highway, a 200-kilometer road to the Florida Keys, an archipelago of 1,700 islands. The 7-mile bridge seems to float above the ocean. Their destination, Key West, is the most southern city in the U.S. It certainly holds a southern state charm and hospitality. This island isn't plagued by 21st century evils such as high-rises and rush hour. Instead, it seems to attract a mix of old-timers, downsizers, and artists. Maybe it's the island mentality mixed with the great weather that brings such an unusual mix of characters together. From one point, Cuba is only about 200 kilometers away. One of Key West's most famous residents was the writer Ernest Hemingway. He lived here from 1928 to 1939. After that, he returned often, until his death in 1961. Daniela and Petro visit his house, now the Hemingway Museum. This house was one of the first in Key West to have indoor plumbing, and it had the first residential swimming pool. Most of the original furniture remains, including the bed. The headboard is made from a gate belonging to an old Spanish monastery. You'll even find descendants of his six-toed cat Snowball wandering around. The house is still much as it was when Hemingway lived here. In his writing studio, visitors can see the Cuban cigar maker's chair and royal typewriter on which Hemingway wrote literary masterpieces, such as For Whom the Bell Tolls. With their imagination still full of images from bygone days, Daniela and Pietro head for the harbor. Every day at sunset, hundreds of tourists and residents converge on Mallory Square. The free street entertainment amuses old and young alike. Sailing boats cruise by, giving the tourists plenty of photo opportunities. And this must rank as one of the best places to watch the sunset over the Caribbean. Meanwhile, things at Daytona are ticking over nicely. Everything seems to be running smoothly. There have been no major incidents, and everyone, old and young, seems to be enjoying themselves. Captain Gardner gets a call to check out a problem in the car park.
One of the lifeguards called and said that somebody in this parking lot has their keys locked in their car and that it's a green van.
The driver has locked his keys in the car. He gives Captain Gardner permission to try and help. He doesn't get very far. But then the local locksmith suggests that Captain Gardner try the keys to his own vehicle.
This is one of the local locksmiths, and he tells me that these keys on some of the older Chevy vans will open the door without actually having to go into the window like I've been doing.
Success at last.
All right.
Well, keep the tension on them. Turn sideways as you're doing the in and out.
Oh yeah, they work for me the best.
Yeah.
A few more handy tips from the locksmith before checking the driver's ID to make sure he's not trying to pull a fast one, and the incident is over.
The whole time I had the key in my pocket.
Back on the beach, Captain Gardner continues his patrols. Everything seems peaceful, but he can't afford to relax. People's lives depend on his vigilance. Sure enough, shortly after he arrives on the beach, there's an emergency. Captain Gardner is one of the first on the scene. He spots the young boy struggling to stay afloat in the strong current. Thanks to their rigorous training, the lifeguards quickly gain control of a situation that could easily have turned into a fatal incident.
Well, we were going out, and then this big wave came and it knocked me under. And then I got up and kept knocking me under, and then I tried to swim, and then the tide came and pulled me out.
They said they were out on their board and the riptide drug them out. That's all I know.
I was just walking up to get a little break there, and I looked down and saw two kids, the little girl here and the little boy on the boogie board, and they were getting pulled out in a rip current, so saw her trying to use it as kind of a life preserver, which is kind of a signal to us that they're in trouble. She was passing it off to him while she was holding on to the rope, and he's just a little too short to get his footing there and got sucked off his feet, and he's right on the edge of where the other people could stand, but he couldn't make it. So yeah, I just got to him, and he told us that he was getting pulled out in that current a little bit, but he's good to go now.
I think this is one of those split seconds that you take your eyes off from them, something happens.
The beach patrol's duties relate mostly to traffic and water safety, but the team also has various methods and devices to hand should they come across anything a little more serious.
As an investigator for the beach patrol, our investigative duties are not like that of an investigator with another police department. Our kind of crimes are very small crimes usually. This here is a drug test kit, so if I have situations where I want to know if what a suspect has in custody, their kind of drugs, if the drugs are real or not, this gives me a way to test all those different types of drugs.
While the beach patrol work hard behind the scenes to keep Daytona Beach safe and clean, Most visitors simply want to enjoy themselves. Families and friends fill their day with fun and sun under the beach guard's watchful eye. If it's spacewalks, rockets and astronauts you're after, it's all here at NASA's Kennedy Space Center on Florida's East Coast. Since 1968, all US space missions have started at this spaceport, Cape Canaveral. Here, visitors can get a closer look at life-size versions of shuttles, as well as spacecraft that have been to space and back, such as an Apollo lunar module. They explore the rocket garden and check out the various components used in space travel. Some wonder what it's like to be an astronaut. Here's a man who could tell them. Pilot and former astronaut Captain John McBride, a veteran with almost 9,000 flying hours under his belt.
The most critical phase of all space shuttle operations, of course, is the launch. That's because it only takes 8.5 minutes to get from the Kennedy Space Center to orbit. 8.5 minutes from launch, you're there. For the last 2.5 minutes, you're even subjected to 3 times the force of gravity, so it's very difficult to reach your switches if you have to handle an emergency situation. So obviously the launch is the most dangerous part of the whole thing.
Outer space holds an eerie fascination over us. For those who dream of becoming astronauts, John McBride has some strong words of advice.
I think for the youngsters, the most important thing they can do right now is to make the decision to decide to be an astronaut. They need to study science, they need to study their math, and I think most importantly, they need to make the decision now to really continue their education, stay in school and study hard. That's the most important thing. That's the #1 job for all the youngsters right now, is to stay in school and study hard.
Not the kind of advice a youngster wants to hear while on holiday. But maybe a visit to the Astronauts Hall of Fame will inspire some of them. Astronauts such as Neil Armstrong and John H. Glenn are heroes of this museum, and visitors can relive many great moments in history, like the first moon landing. You get to see the actual equipment and spacesuits used on many of the missions these brave men led. There's even an interactive section that lets you control your own launch. And John has an interesting theory on aliens too.
The only aliens I've seen have been here on Earth. But I'd be the last person to tell you that I don't think that there's a possibility out there somewhere in this universe that there couldn't be somebody sitting and talking to a group of folks about how wonderful this experience was to travel around their planet and how beautiful it looked from that vantage point.
This museum also offers a history of America's space race. Here you'll find the Saturn V rocket that flew to the moon 9 times, a lunar module, and a 3-seater command shell, which was the only part of the Apollo mission that returned to Earth. Now that would really have been an ultimate journey. Meanwhile, things in Daytona are really hotting up. Captain Gardner has been on patrol for a few hours now and has already saved 1 life, all in a day's work. He pulls up for a well-earned rest and snack.
This is my favorite little place on the beach. Sometimes I don't have a lot of time, so I can stop here real quick, and they're always ready for me here. So they have the best food on the beach, good hamburgers and hot dogs, but it's not always good for the waistline. I like to stop here and at least get a drink while I can, but last 2 attempts I've made to come up here, I've had to go away and get something else, so this is the first time I actually made it today. So we're doing okay, and now I'm going to try to enjoy this Diet Coke for the first time today.
Seems like this break may also be cut short. Captain Gardner has caught an all too familiar whiff of marijuana and chases after a group of youngsters.
Come over here with me for a second. You're not under arrest at this point. How about your shoes, undershorts, anything in there?
Captain Gardner finds a suspicious bag.
Damn, man, what do you got going here? You selling? What's that?
He has to let headquarters know about his movements and the fact that he's taken somebody into custody.
Get up in there.
The suspect waits while Captain Gardner gets his drugs kit ready to test the substances.
right now, we just, right after that rescue, just sitting here trying to get myself back together, and this black male just walked by me and smelled the odor of burning cannabis. Pretty much placed him under arrest for the possession of cannabis under 20 grams, which is a misdemeanor here in the state of Florida. So far, I just found this little bit here, and I'm going to test that right now with the test kits that we were talking about a little earlier. When you break that first ampule, you should get, I'm sorry, the second ampule, you should get a purple color pretty similar to the one on the package. What you need to do is let that agitate for a minute, and that'll pull the THC out of this little bit of marijuana here. So right now it's just going to kind of take on the color of the burnt marijuana, kind of a brown. But then once I break this middle ampule here, you should see a purple color pretty similar to this if it's a positive response. So I'm going to go ahead and break that now, shake it up a little bit, and now you're starting to see that little bit of a purple color there on top. And then once you break this third one here, see it changes and that purple will float to the top. So that means we have a field test positive response for marijuana. Therefore, he's going to be charged now with possession of marijuana under 20 grams. Right now, I'm just checking. This man has an Ohio driver's license, so he's from the state of Ohio. What I'm pretty much doing is making sure that it's okay for me to release this gentleman with a ticket.
This guy has a lucky break and gets off with a ticket and a few stern words from Captain Gardner. Florida is full of unsung heroes such as Rich Gardner. Other heroes spend their life in the public eye, worshipped by millions of fans. The American Airlines Arena hosts Florida's hottest basketball games. This is where the famous Miami Heat basketball team is based. The athletes enjoy all the perks that sports superstars expect these days, including luxury locker rooms and the best physical training money can buy. For Udonis Harlem, the arena is home from home.
I mean, it's special for me to live in Miami because I was born here and I'm raised here, so this is my hometown, and I get to play in front of my family and friends every night.
As the players warm up with the coach, their rivals, the Orlando Magic basketball stars, settle into the visitors' locker room, a much more basic setup, standard practice in basketball. It's still an hour until the game starts, and the players slowly start to roll in. But the biggest star still hasn't turned up. Shaquille O'Neal. His huge shoes await him.
These are the shoes from Shaquille O'Neal. These are called Spider-Mans, and these are hardwood classics. He wore these last night in Washington. And he's wearing Spider-Mans in today's game.
Shaq takes a massive size 23. The stadium is filling up. Everyone feels pumped up, from the players to the fans. They can't wait to see Shaq. And here he is. Shaquille's name means Little Warrior, though he's far from little at 2.16 meters tall, and certainly no warrior, as he's known for his gentleness. He's played basketball professionally for the last 14 years, and the last 3 years with the Heats. And although retirement looms, Shaquille O'Neal is considered one of the best players of all time. The music pumps up the atmosphere before everyone stands for the national anthem, as happens with all sporting events in the States. After a few last-minute preparations, it's finally time to play ball. The Miami Heats struggle to keep up with their opponents, in spite of having a sporting legend playing on their side. And they lose the game. But for a few fans, the disappointment is soon forgotten as they have the chance to meet Shaq, gracious as ever. Shaq didn't look out of place among the other tall players on the basketball pitch, but he towers over his fans. These guys are all complete strangers to Shaq, but what he doesn't know yet is that there's one very special fan waiting for him. Shaq's favorite school teacher has paid a surprise visit. The gentle giant is thrilled because this teacher encouraged him to become the superstar he is today.
My favorite teacher was, then she would keep me after class and tell me, one day Shaquille, you can be whatever you want to be. You just gotta relax, do your schoolwork, stop being a clown all the time. And that's why I remember, because she was one of the first people, besides my parents, that just sat me down and made me believe in myself.
Shaq gives her a present that's nearly bigger than she is.
You put on your desk.
Okay. I'll put it on my desk.
This Florida hero hasn't let fame go to his head. As the basketball players cool down, the rest of Miami hots up. There are about 150 nightclubs around South Beach alone. Most stay open until 5 a.m. Most of the clubs serve food, but if you want a quiet, intimate dinner, this is not the way to go about it. But if you've got taste for a heavy beat, exotic cocktails, and lots of socializing, the clubs have it all. But it is still possible to escape the noise for a while. This season, a new idea has proved hugely popular: giant beds, complete with white linen, comfortable cushions, and night lights. Exhausted from dancing, but not yet tired enough to go to sleep, the clubbers make the night last until dawn. Others want to party in broad daylight out in the open. Back on Daytona Beach, Captain Gardner has the tricky job of balancing the party mood with safety and the law, especially during the really busy spring break. The day has barely begun and already he needs to take action.
What are you guys doing? You guys are like screaming, take me to jail. It's like you're walking down the beach with a beer in your hand and you're 18 years old. What am I supposed to do here?
Yes, sir.
You 18?
Yes, sir.
You realize that's all we do for spring break is we're out here looking for alcohol, underage drinking, and you guys are like coming at me with a neon sign.
Yes, sir.
You got to be a little more careful about this, okay? All right. Why don't you all just get rid of those cups for me, and we'll call it even, all right?
If he catches them again, he won't be so lenient. But he hasn't forgotten what it's like to be a teenager on Daytona Beach.
Well, they eventually came clean and they told the truth. The ones that lie about their age or their identities or give us a hard time are the ones that usually get tickets. They knew right away why I was here, and the one girl just tried to turn her back, and she did the old I don't see him, I don't hear him, she rides that to the end. But they're just here partying. You can't, it's illegal to drink the alcohol, but it's a party atmosphere, so you can't really blame them for wanting to party, but they just got to keep it somewhere else where they're not going to get caught, I guess.
For Rich Gardner, Daytona Beach is more than just where he works. It also holds very special memories for him.
All right, well, this is just a typical day at Daytona Beach for the Beach Patrol officers. We love what we do. I love what I do. We work with a bunch of professionals, and at any given moment, you don't know what's going to happen. But at the same time, this place holds special thoughts in my mind because it's where I met my wife, and that was about 16 years ago now. So it's just another day at the beach, but you never know when that special day is going to come.
While Rich Gardner and his team work so hard to keep people safe, another Florida hero busies himself looking for danger. Back in the Everglades, Manny Puig is still on the lookout for a really massive alligator, and they may just find it here.
This gator hole, we've seen an extremely big alligator. There, very big right here.
I'm going to be very cautious going in there.
And I'm pretty sure he's still down there.
Manny, whose hero is Tarzan, shuns the use of any safety equipment, such as cages or protective suits. Visibility is less than a meter. And there is the alligator Johnny has spotted. In all his years of swimming with alligators, Manny has rarely seen one this size. Their faces are inches apart. Manny makes his move, but the alligator doesn't want to cooperate. Manny challenges how we perceive predators. He wants to prove that if you know what you're doing, an alligator needn't be dangerous, and he does this by lifting them up with the tips of his fingers. Finally, in an apparently surreal moment, he briefly lifts the alligator. And then Manny spots a smaller alligator dozing nearby. He grabs it by its soft underjaw and raises it gently above his head. The alligator appears to be in a trance, as though Manny has cast some kind of spell over it. Manny knows what he is doing. The danger Johnny fears is that others will try to copy him.
Doing something like what Manny's doing here, it's extremely, extremely dangerous. This is something that, you know, actually you don't really see anybody really do this type of thing. And you have to really know what you're doing. He's very experienced, has a lot of incidents with these animals, especially these alligators, definitely. Something you don't want to do out here.
I saw a huge alligator. I did one levitation on him, he fired over me.
They came right out, huh?
He plowed over me. On the last levitation, I got his head up out of the water. I mean, his paws were like this big. He was just huge. I had to get right up in his face like this so I could reach under him. The head on him is like...
That is massive.
No, he's massive, man. I mean, thick, you know what I mean?
He's healthy.
He's been eating something.
Yeah, he's been doing good out here.
Somebody.
Healthy gator.
It was an extraordinary encounter, even by Manny's standards. But he still wants more. So Johnny drives them to a very different environment, the mangrove swamps.
Now we're going to go into saltwater environment. People don't understand that their alligators do go into the saltwater. They live in the saltwater. And the saltwater swamps in southern Florida, there's a lot of alligators that live in there. We're going to go search for them.
It doesn't take long to find one. Here, though, it's not the alligators that Manny worries about the most. There is a much greater danger: the tangled mass of roots. The alligator can hold its breath for up to 2 hours. Manny, though, needs to come up for air.
Well, I can't even get my head up. We tracked this alligator through the mangroves. Tracking an alligator underwater is a very tricky and dangerous thing.
Not only does Manny risk getting trapped underwater, stuck among the roots, but if the alligator feels threatened, it could attack.
Wait a minute, he's fixing to go under me. Wait. Come up for air, face to face, so be careful.
For all his antics, Manny knows his own limits. This situation has become dangerous, so it's time to back off. Some critics accuse Manny of interfering with nature, but he believes that his hands-on approach helps us all understand more about these predators and the Everglades, one of Florida's greatest attractions. Others include the space heroes, the beautiful sunshine girls and boys, Some stars who shine in the limelight, and others who just get on with their jobs. These characters make Florida an ultimate journey, never to be forgotten.